Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be going over using the Hotspot plugin by FireAI. So here I've created a project and I'm going to navigate to the Hotspot plugin in our side panel on the left hand side of our screen. And we can open this up and we can see we have two options. So if you have a hotspot file that you've created somewhere else, you can import it as a KML. But if you want to create a hotspot layer straight from IR images that you've collected with your drone, you can use this automated detection button. So we open this up and it's asking us to add our files, so we can go ahead and do that. So as we can see, we have got our flight path staged on the map here. This is so that we can make sure that this is the correct files that we're wanting to upload, and that all looks good. And all of our images are on the left here, represented by these blue boxes. And so if these boxes are all blue, that means it's ready to upload and there are no errors or issues with your image files. So if a box is showing up yellow or red, that might mean that there is an issue with your image file. So it could be issues with the camera angle, with the quality of the image, etc. But these all look good. And as we can see here, we have this process after uploading button automatically checked. So we can uncheck that if we want, but having your images start processing immediately after they're done uploading is nice to have. So we'll get these uploading, and you can see here that they'll slowly start to turn green, and that just means that they're uploaded and ready to be processed. So as you can see, we're almost done uploading, and we'll just wait for the rest of these to go green, and then processing will just start automatically. Perfect, and as we can see, this has switched to processing. So now we just wait a little bit for the processing to finish. Alright, so processing is finished and our hotspots have appeared on our map here. So we can close this data modal and let's dive into how we are able to visualize our heat. So we click on the map and we can see that this toolbar appears, and the toolbar, if we close it down, it's sort of divided into 4 sections. So this first section is the flight path, and this one here is the scan area. So this just shows the full area that your images have captured. So next on the menu bar is point. There's a couple things we can do with this heat and ways we can visualize it. So the first thing is we can edit the appearance. This means we can change the color of the points, we can change the opacity, we can select a custom color or enter a hex code if we want. The next thing we can do is portray the hotspots as a heat map. So this is a pretty basic heat map. The darker the red, the hotter it is. And this is better visualized maybe on a different background. Let me switch it to satellite. So this is just the heat map view. Sort of gives you a more realistic idea of what the heat looks like. After heat, we have hex, and hex is a function of intensity and density. So here we can see that we have these tall columns that are lighter and the shorter columns are darker, and so this is just a different 3D way to visualize your heat. If we bring it back to point, this is definitely one of the most useful visualizations. We can do a couple other things within here. So this number sign in the toolbar is just hotspot labels. And these are clustered, as you can see, but as you zoom in, they will start to get their individual labels. But clustering just keeps things organized for when you zoom out. Labels are really important to have turned on if you want to export a PDF map with your hotspots georeferenced. So if you are wanting to create a hotspot map and have those individual hotspots with their coordinates, make sure you turn the labels on. The next thing we can do is sensitivity. So turn labels off for now. So sensitivity is sort of up to you guys, how sensitive you want the program to be. So the more sensitive it is, the fewer hotspots you'll have. This is Nova's machine learning program really making sure that what it's showing you is actually heat. And if with lower sensitivity, we'll have more hotspots. So possibly more false positives depending on your environment, but it will mark anything that it thinks is heat as heat. So we'll put the sensitivity back to around 7. Alright, moving on in the menu bar, the next thing we can do is use this distance from perimeter. This only works if we have a perimeter uploaded, so let's go ahead and do that really quickly. For a more in-depth tutorial on adding a fire perimeter to your map, you can check out the fire perimeter video, but right now we're just going to import a fire perimeter. Now we have our fire perimeter uploaded, and we can go ahead and edit the colors based on their distance from perimeter. So let's say we want all hotspots that are within 400 feet of the perimeter, I want to be red. All hotspots that are within 800 feet of the perimeter can be orange, and the rest can be yellow. And so we can see we don't have that many that are 400 feet from the perimeter. Most of them are more than that. And the distance from perimeter is just a great way to divide up priorities or importance of hotspots. Lastly, what we can do is place a manual hotspot. So if there has been something that has been missed, or you want to mark something as a hotspot that hasn't been marked, you can go ahead and place a manual hotspot. As you can see, I've got one on my mouse here, and we can just zoom in and place this there. And so automatically the distance of perimeter rules will apply to it. As we can see, it went yellow, and if we click into it, we have this hotspot modal that shows up. And so for a manually placed hotspot, this looks a little bit different, but we still have the coordinates, we still have the distance from the perimeter, and we can mark it as out or active if we want. So if we mark it as out, it will go green on our map. There we can see it's gone green, telling us that this hotspot is no longer active. If we want to turn it back to active, we can just go back in and hit active. For hotspots that have not been manually placed and come from the IR images that you've uploaded, when you click into them, we can see that the modal looks a little bit different. So here we have the actual image that the hotspot was taken in, and we can see this little red dot is representing the hotspot that we've clicked into. So we've got the file name of the image, we have the coordinates, we have the estimated size of the hotspot, the distance from perimeter, and again, the option to mark it as out. We can see there, it has gone out. Before we move on to our next section in the menu bar, which is shape, I want to skip to the last one, which is IR Ortho. And IR Ortho is just an orthomosaic made up of the infrared images that you've taken with your drone. And this is a great way to determine which level of sensitivity you should be at. So what you can do is you can sort of zoom into a spot, and without our points on, we can see that our heat appears as these little white dots. And with our sensitivity slider, we can sort of match it up as best as we can. So we can see that it's done a pretty good job. I can maybe add a couple more in there. And just make sure that all the heat that you see on the infrared ortho is marked by a hotspot as well. And this is really easily adjustable with the sensitivity slider and should always be used together. With the ortho, you also have the option to edit the appearance. So you can use different gradients. Sometimes your heat will look better with one gradient versus another. And it's really about finding what works best for you and the type of fire you're on, and which way you're able to visualize the data the best. So we're just going to keep it on this nice dark one. And now we're going to move on to this third way to visualize your heat, which is shape. And so shape is just a little bit more of a refined view of the hotspot. So as you can see, it's just outlining exactly where that heat is on the ortho. Again, with shape, we can adjust the appearance of it. So if we want it to be filled in, if we want it to be more opaque, we could just make it an outline and give that a different color. It's really all depending on however you want to visualize your heat. So that's it for shape. The last thing I want to show you is this little ruler bar up here. And so this is going to show you the number of hotspots and the area of heat in acres. So one thing to note is that sensitivity will affect these numbers. So the higher the sensitivity, the fewer hotspots and lower acres you will get, the lower the sensitivity, the more that those numbers will increase. So we're going to leave it at right about 7. All right, so that is sort of it for the hotspot menu bar. What we're going to do now is add some labels and create a PDF map. So I want to make sure that all of my hotspots are in the frame. And as we can see here on the legend, we have out hotspots in green, and we can see the distance from perimeter parameters are also on the legend here, as well as the shape layer that we have on, the flight path, and the fire perimeter. If you're wanting to turn any of these off, you can just simply hit the check and it will turn off on the map. I'm going to add an inset so we can see where on our perimeter we're looking at, and I'm going to add border ticks as well. Down here you have the option to change the name of the PDF and determine what size you'd like it. For more information and more detailed look into creating a PDF map, you can head to the PDF page in the Learn Center. So when we're happy with how that looks, we can hit confirm, and this will go into our PDFs tab on the left side panel and begin processing. To download any of your hotspot data, you can just go into the hotspot layer on the side panel, into data, and hit download. And so you can download your heat as points, as polygons, or as the ortho. You can download your path, or you can download your images as a zip file. So lots of options for downloading there. If you want to hide a hotspot layer, you can use this eyeball button, and that will just turn off the hotspot layer. So we can check on our PDF now. So our PDF is finished processing, and to download, you can just use this button here. You also have the option to delete it there. So that's pretty much it for the hotspot tools. If you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help out.